Hello everyone, this is Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot, Astrology and Spirituality. How are you today, this evening, wherever you are in the world when you're watching? A huge shout out to you. Thank you for joining me. This is one of those astrology/tarot readings that I do on pretty significant astrological occasions. And we've got one coming up between the 31st of July or 1st of August, depending on where in the world you are and what time zone you're in, where we have a very, very, very rare conjunction between Uranus, which is the planet of shocks, surprises, the North Node in Taurus, of course, which is what we have to do in this particular lifetime. The South Node of the Moon, of course, is what we bring in from past lives, past situations. And then the North Node is the challenge of actually drawing on that information to make change. North Nodes has been in Taurus now for a little while. I think they're about 18 months that they stay in particular signs. North Node in Taurus. Taurus is about stability, security, and it's also a fixed sign, very, very determined there for the long haul. South Node has been in Scorpio. Well, we all know Scorpio is about bringing things to an end. So this Uranus North Node conjunction is around events that might challenge our security or our stability. But then we've got something else. We've got Mars, the planet of action, the planet sometimes of eruption, of driving things forward, can also be anger as well. I mean, Mars was the god of war. We've got these three, two planets and a node of the moon, all conjunct in Taurus at 18 degrees, happening around 18th and the 31st of July, 1st of August. It's not an understatement to say that most astrologers that I follow are saying, look out, something huge could happen around this date. You've got about 2 weeks either side of these conjunctions where you might feel it. And so where I look at the huge events, we have to go to the US, we have to go to the January 6th coup attempt, insurrection, riot, attempt to overturn a fair and democratic election by the ex-president Trump. We've had that playing out most of this year. We've now got the Department of Justice in the US really looking like it's going after prosecuting the ex-president. So are we going to hear something that we don't know, or that's going to shock us? Is something else going to come out? I mean, we've been shocked enough about what's been going on in the US. Or is it, another natural disaster? I said at the beginning of the year in my predictions, I have had this pull to Chile and an earthquake for some time now. There has been seismic activity there, and they're kind of on a watch as this activity ramps up. Is it another climate change event? We've just had a volcanic eruption in Japan. Or is it something to do with the invasion, Russia's military push out to invade other countries and take away their sovereignty? Of course, I'm talking about Ukraine, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Is it something to do there? We live in a global, disruptive global events that are remaking and making change in our world. Or is it something that actually is going to occur, what I refer to as the tower moment, that is actually going to lead to longer term beneficial change? We always think, because we're so traumatized by COVID, by political unrest, by attempted coups, by invasions, by changes of regimes, UK, Italy now, we kind of tend to think the worst, particularly with our climate emergency that we're all facing. However, this could also be something that works in our favor. So let's take a look at the chart I have cast it over Washington, but wherever you are, you're going to see these same planetary planets in the various signs. It'll just be the houses that will differ. And I've also looked at the transits as it relates to the Attorney General in the US, Merrick Garland. I've looked at that chart, and by golly, it's a hard chart. It's a hard transit, lots and lots of difficulties for that Attorney General. But let's just go to the Washington chart. As I said, these same planets will be in the same signs of the zodiac, no matter where you are in the world. But I've cast it over Washington for my US viewers, because really they are on a knife's edge, and doesn't matter where you come from, you kind of understand that. And of course, we've got the Western world supporting Ukraine to try and push Russia out of their country. So let's take a look here. Let me share the screen with you. Looks like this is my chart here. Okay, it is. So I've cast it, as I said, over Washington on the 1st of August at, looks like 12:30 p.m. Now, I don't think I can make this little screen bigger. Let's see if I can move it to there, if that helps at all. Some people say, oh, but we want to see you while you're looking at the chart. I've tried a few different views and I can't figure it out. Maybe if you're on Zoom, you might let me know how to do that. But anyway, let's get going with this chart. I'm using my arrow pointer, and let's have a look at this conjunction. You can see it there. Uranus conjunct the north nodes, conjunct Mars, all in that 7th house at 18 degrees. Now, 18 degrees, that's 30 degrees in each sign, or each house, I should say. And so 18 degrees would let us know that it's about halfway through this process. We're not at the beginning and we're not at the end. And that kind of makes sense. We feel like we're in the middle of this, you know, what some would describe as huge changes. Now, Taurus, what we need to know about Taurus is a fixed sign. Fixed signs are very determined. They keep, you know, if you look at, I often describe cardinal, fixed and mutable as cardinal being the signs that light the fire and start things. Fixed signs are the ones that keep the fires going, and mutable signs go with the flow and actually find, like a spark, new destinations to travel to. So Taurus is a fixed sign. Taurus in itself is around Earth. So I'm not discounting with Mars in the mix here, Earth changes around this conjunction, this massive conjunction that we're looking at. It's also around our values, our inner and outer values, and also about determination being that fixed sign. I don't know really of any other sign that's more determined they won't give up. Now, this conjunction is occurring in the 7th house of the zodiac. What is the 7th house of the zodiac? It is, among other things, partnerships. It's generally ruled by Libra. Well, it's not generally, it is ruled by Libra, because Libra being the planet of justice. But it's also about open enemies. So again, this chart, whether it's cast over Washington or Kyiv or UK, wherever you are, this is a pretty volatile chart reflecting the volatility of our times. Now, I noticed that Eris is also in the 7th house. She is the warrior goddess, I should say. And so when she turns up, we know there's a bit of a battle on. So we've got all these, I guess, omens, planetary signs and omens, and that conjunctions and aspects, squares and inconjuncts, which are the green lines, which I'll get to in a minute, all in the 7th house. What are we battling? In Washington, I think it's pretty clear. In the US, I think it's pretty clear. And of course, the reason that we look at the US is because it is almost like a founding democracy, along with, you know, obviously UK gave us the Westminster system of democracy, but UK gave us the liberal notion of democracy. It's often referred to as the great experiment in democracy. And so we look to the US as being a superpower, and in some regards a leadership role, although that is becoming less and less now as other, I guess, other countries align. Of course, the EU is quite powerful. And then we have our Commonwealth countries, the UK, Australia, Canada, as well. So I guess in the world, it's not just one country, is it? It's many. We are a world of many countries. And in some ways, there are no borders that exist. So after my little spiel on democracy and unity, let's just go back to this chart. I mentioned these. Okay, so red lines are squares and oppositions. Okay, so oppositions will be one end of the chart to the other, and that is two forces pulling away from one another. Squares here, the conflicts, squaring off at one another, a little bit of a battle, and we can learn from squares as well. The blue lines, we want to see the blue lines because they're the harmonious flows. That's where we get influences and energy working in sympathy, in empathy with one another, and they're the trines and the sextiles, which you'll hear me talk about. I do want to mention in this chart, these green lines, they're referred to as inconjuncts or quincunx. Now, that's where there's no compatibility at all. And that's where you've really got to work hard to find the lesson there, to work through various processes and ways of doing things so that you get some kind of alignment, because there is no alignment there. Now, it's interesting that one of the major inconjuncts here is between Neptune here in Pisces, and there's an inconjunct with Mercury in Leo in the 10th house. So what is our notion of strength here? We're just not on the same page. Neptune in Pisces talks about, can be illusion and delusion in that 5th house of self-expression, and against this Mercury, which is communication in Leo being strength in the 10th house, our public image. So there is this incompatibility around communication and our notion of strength. One thinks strength is this, the other thinks strength is that. And if we look at the US, we know that there is a lot of illusion and delusion happening through, you know, the birthplace in a way of QAnon and conspiracy theories and social media. And, well, you know the story, don't you? So we also have an inconjunct here with Eris in Taurus. Nothing predictable about Eris. She was the goddess that went onto the battlefields and basically slayed people. She takes no prisoners. There is an inconjunct here between Eris and the moon in Virgo in the 11th house, the 11th house being what is there for the greater good. The moon in Virgo, you know, the moon is the feminine, the moon is the soul, the moon is the emotion. Virgo is the detail, the work that needs to be done. So it's almost like people are going to be very reactive. They're not going to wait for the details. There's a lot of emotion in this particular chart, again indicating something major is brewing. Now we'll go to the, I guess the trines and the sextiles, the blue lines. Jupiter in Aries in that sixth house, the work that needs to be done. This is a good thing, the sacrifice, public service. There is a lot of work that needs to be done. The January 6th committee is doing it. The DOJ is doing it. Various civil rights groups are doing it. We know the problems. We know the work that needs to be done. And Jupiter is about expansive action. And that is trining the sun, the beautiful sun in Leo. And there's a conjunction here, I think, what is that? A conjunction between Ceres, which is abundance, and the sun in Leo. Leo striding forth with strength, with self-expression. There are a lot of achievements occurring at the moment in the US, and Jupiter in Aries is backing it. And that's why you're seeing the tide starting to turn to bring that ex-president that attempted a coup and everybody else that supported him to justice. There is a march toward justice in the US. Some might think it's been a slow burn, but it's not slow anymore. This is almost like the House of Cards are falling daily. And on that, what is the ascendant in this particular chart in Washington? Libra. Libra is both in the 12th and partially in the first house of this zodiac here. It's also, Scorpio is there too, so this is a split first house. There's a lot to be brought to an end, a lot that needs to be transformed in order to realize that justice. So, you know, this is very much, when I look at astrology, this is very much a karmic chart for our particular times. Now let's have a look at our old friend Pluto. Pluto in the third house of Capricorn. Capricorn, of course, being associated with money, financial institutions, third house communications. There is a trine here with the moon in Virgo. Again, the group, the greater good, society, I guess. So I'm thinking, all right, let's just get to the end of the major aspects of this chart. We've also got Neptune in Pisces in that fifth house, opposite the moon in Virgo. So there's a muddying of situations, a muddying of communication, a muddying of the truth. Here we have good old Saturn in Aquarius. You want to see that in a chart in the fourth house of home. It's also the mother, the feminine, but the home. Saturn in Aquarius, the work that needs to be done. And that is opposite Mercury in Leo, telling us that the access to communications is both a gift and a curse. And so we have to get that right. We have to. There is no democracy without truth. I think I'm quoting the deputy chair of the January 6th committee there, Liz Cheney. So the work Saturn, father time, huge influence, is reminding us what we need to do to keep our home, our country, our community safe. So back to Pluto, Pluto squaring Eris. So what I'm thinking here, but there's also a trine, Pluto trine to Uranus and Taurus. What I'm thinking, okay, let's cut to the chase. Now we've examined the major aspects and themes of this great conjunction. What might be some of the things that could occur in this conjunction? So open enemies, let's go back to open enemies in the seventh house, this conjunction here in Taurus. It could have something to do, you could have a financial institutions might, we know that we're heading into a recession in most countries. This is as a result of COVID and the war in Ukraine, and also our systems needing to change, the lessons that we're needing to address. So it could, with that Pluto there, we could hear something around interest rate hikes, you know, some market, maybe even some market failure in some way. Because there's a volatility here indicated in financial institutions here. With Uranus, it's going to be something that is disruptive to our security. So that's one possibility. I also feel that we look at the square here between Venus in Cancer there in the 9th house, our feelings, and the squares here to Jupiter in Aries, and also Chiron, the wounded healer in Aries, the wounded identity there. This could be a volatility around the emotions that we express, around groups of people that are threatening violence. I mean, we hear that every day. Not civil war-like energies, but militias that are armed. There could be some kind of, I'm not going to say attack, but there could be some kind of event in public that involves a great Mars, of course, being anger, a great lot of emotions, feelings driving that event. The other possibility is there could be Earth. Venus is the Earth. And the 9th house is, you know, really the LORE, the law, that higher knowledge and philosophy, something that teaches us through an emotional event. Mars can be eruption. So we could be looking at some kind of Earth event as well. Or here's the next possibility. I'm not reading cards right now. I'm looking at the astrology. Or we could have some major indictments around that January the 6th, or major evidence breaking. Now, that's the possibility I like. That's the possibility I'd like to entertain. And that is why I created a chart that looks at Merrick Garland's Merrick Garland's natal chart and the transits. Where is this great conjunction here, this volatile, disruptive, even assertive conjunction here at 18 degrees in the sign that won't let go, that's there for the long haul. How's this conjunction going to play out if we look at Merrick Garland's chart? Well, that's really interesting. All right, so let's just stop the share here and go to a new share. Bear with me till I get this set up. Okay, that's all right. Look at it. Even if you're not an astrologer, what are you drawn to? The Grand Cross, Grand Square in the middle of the chart. These aspects are indicative of huge challenges. However, when we meet the challenges of Grand Crosses, Grand Squares, we have huge achievement. So Merrick Garland, you know, some people, I was reading on him, pardon me, a long time ago, trying to keep people calm and patient, saying this person is the right one for the job. But anyway, he absolutely is. He was destined. I'll go so far as to say he was destined for this job. So the fact that he didn't get a Supreme Court seat, you ought to be thankful he didn't. This is a person that will not let go, that will not give up, that will find a way to bring forward justice. Look at where it's occurring. Mars, North Node, Uranus, conjunct in Taurus at 18 degrees. on top almost of his Jupiter. His Jupiter expansion, Jupiter energy brings us a degree of luck in Taurus, security, stability, getting the job done regardless. Now, there's an opposition here to his Sun and Vesta being the asteroid of the home in Scorpio. We also know the South Node is in Scorpio in that 8th house. I mean, he is here to bring something to a close. He is here to transform something, to end something. And the oppositions, I mean, to say it's not easy is an understatement. I mean, it really is. There's so much against him in trying to bring this to a close, including the inconjuncts. Now, we look at the inconjuncts here, the incompatibilities, nothing in common. Uranus in Cancer. Okay, so he is capable in his 4th house, of course, home, mother, could be metaphorically his country. He's going to, his emotions are like that. They can switch and come right out of the blue. This is not someone you underestimate. Venus is sitting on top of his Uranus. Venus, the Earth, the planet, the love, really, the unconditional love. And the 11th house here is up in here in the 11th house, Saturn, of course, Saturn on Aquarius. And that's where his North Node is. What was he sent here to do? Bring something to an end. And it's just not easy, because look at this inconjunct here between Mars in Capricorn and his Mercury in Sagittarius in the 9th house. So he would be somebody that would not really, in a way, would not, I guess, would like to teach, would be more comfortable in a methodical teaching way. But these events are dynamic. So he probably would have been suited to a career on the Supreme Court, because he could have taught, when I say teach, he would have done that fairly aggressively, teaching about the law. I don't mean in a classroom. I mean us learning about justice and the law. But fate didn't have that in mind. I would say destiny didn't have that in mind for him. He's having to act fairly quickly now. So what is indicative here? We see this sextile from his Jupiter and the conjunctions through to Uranus in Cancer. And we see this further sextile here over to the moon in Virgo, and again, the moon in Virgo sextiling his Jupiter. This is he's going to get wins, basically, even though what he's doing is really, really hard. He is going to get these wins. I just want to remind you here, the opposition going through his grand square, grand trine, is his moon is in Libra. Where is it? It's in the 7th house. And so he will always get justice. I've done a natal chart reading on Garland. You can go back and look at that. But it's opposite Jupiter and Chiron in Aries in the 1st house. So, while astrology is not, well, I don't think it's predictive. In some ways it can be, but in other ways, this is a chart where he might come forward with an action that is fairly quick, and it's going to take us by surprise. Is it an indictment? Possibly. Is it an indictment of Trump? Not sure about that. Is it an indictment of someone around Trump? Perhaps. I just want to go to Pluto. Pluto is not in conjunction, not conjunct with his natal Mars transiting Pluto, but it's pretty close in Capricorn in that, well, I don't think we have, do we have any, yes, we do. I think, yes, we do. So Pluto, almost not conjunct, but very close to his natal Mars, and of course Chiron. Pluto, of course, is what is buried. It's the underworld, what is buried very, very below the surface. Mars, of course, as I've already said, is action. Capricorn, money. We could have something emerging around, and I've said it before, and I don't know why I harp, but there's something around the money trail. Could he bring forward some charges around fraud? Could he indict the fake electors, for example? Possibly. Could there be evidence emerging around a money trial? Possibly. Whatever's occurring in the US, which involves Merrick Garland, is between now, really, and over the next 2 weeks is pretty huge, and it's going to shock us. I hope it's an indictment of the president. I hope it could be an indictment of somebody else. I do get a very strong pull to Mark Meadows talking with the Department of Justice. All right, so interesting times, interesting chart. Garland, in summary, is the man for the job or the person for the job, and he's there for the long haul, and his actions will bring forward security. Expect something fairly major coming out of the DOJ around now over the next couple of weeks, and particularly when the conjunction is exact. But charging, indicting is only the beginning of some, well, it's only, we're not all the way through yet. It's only the first piece in the puzzle. Prosecution and then a win in the courts is the other piece of the puzzle, and we're not there yet. Suffice to say, the Grand Cross, Grand Square here in his chart indicates just what for other people, it might almost be an impossible job, but not for Merrick Garland. Not for Merrick Garland. We need to be thankful that he wasn't, that he didn't get onto the Supreme Court, because he is that person for this job and this time. It was part of his blueprint. It is part of his destiny. And Uranus, his natal Uranus in Cancer in the 4th house. I wouldn't like to bet against him. All right, the House of Cards is falling on Trump world. We can see that happening thanks to the DOJ's work. They've been working on this all along, as I said, and the January 6th committee's work. There could also be something huge coming out of Congress. We've got bills, critical bills being passed. Senator Joe Manchin has indicated his support for the climate change and other legislation, and of course that hopefully will get through the Congress. Let's hope we don't have an Earth event or any other violent event at this time. All right, let's pull some oracle cards. What do we need to know? What is the underlying energy? Because we'll get some clarity also here. This is a long reading, but honestly, I can't do this in 5 minutes. If you're here watching, good on you. Let's keep going with the tarot part of the reading. Okay, so what is the underlying energy around this massive conjunction? Uranus, Mars, North Node. What is the underlying energy, please? So we have here power, full moon power. The moon in Virgo, we're going to be seeing the details, that's for sure. The details of something huge. And we're going to, because the moon is what is hidden also, can be what needs to come to the surface. What occurs over the next little while will be tremendously healing. And we have waxing gibbous. Sorry, this deck is Tracy DeMarco's Oracle of the Moon. Oracle of the Moon, Queen of the Oracle, Queen of the Oracle, Queen of the Moon Oracle. Okay, discernment. There's going to be a responsibility on all of us to discern fact from fiction, because there's, with all those inconjuncts there in the chart, you know, we think, you know, that we're getting the facts, but those who think the election was stolen think they're getting the facts off Telegram or Truth Social. You know, there's a blurring of the facts. No democracy without truth. So there's a discernment here. Similarly, don't think that we're all lily clean around allowing our imaginations to run away with us. Wherever you're sourcing your information, make sure it is it's responsible. And we've got beauty here. Good cards indicative of people coming together and seeing the unity between people. We've got peace. Oh, I love this. The underlying energy. What are we moving toward? We're moving toward peace. Be patient. 36. 33, blossoming. Be patient. There's a lot of healing going to be taking place as we move through what is a very challenging time in our world. All right, so show me the events. Show me the events. Show me the events likely around this time of this huge conjunction in Taurus. Show me the events, global events, regardless of where they are. What type of events are likely to occur around this conjunction? So I'm getting the scales of justice, truth emerging. I can say, thank you, Tarot. That's why I keep going with Tarot. I absolutely find it is so truthful and transparent. It keeps me honest in a way. When I say I'm not dishonest, but it keeps my channeling on track. So we've got truth here, my intuition. It provides the guardrails for my intuition. The Ace of Swords, great truth is likely to emerge, and that is what I'm getting around this conjunction. It's emerging. It could be about a foreign influence as well, but this could be, there could be a breakdown in supply chains as well. We could get financial institutions. We get to see what we need to see, and then we get to take the action. For the US DOJ, January the 6th committee, they've done a lot of work to get the truth out to us. Okay, the foundation of the reading is the new start. Remember, Libra was straddling both the 12th and 1st house. Bringing things to a closure will give us that new start. Even though there's volatility for a little while to come, I keep quoting my good friend who's in the spirit world now, said on any given day, if you're moving in the right direction, that is your victory. And I feel that's the way it is. 18 degrees. We're not at the beginning. We're not at the end. In the past, we've had a quickening, the 8 of Wands. We feel that. I feel like almost once these indictments start in the US, it'll be like a house of cards. In the sky, we've got Virgo. I keep getting that draw to September as well. Virgo is introspection. It is the light at the end of the tunnel. It's the thinking that we need to do, the reviewing that we need to do to get through this dark tunnel. And we have Libra justice. So I think these cards are telling me, there's the scales, which I saw, and my own intuition is telling me that in the US, around the time of this conjunction, there's going to be a huge truth revealed. And I think it is around the DOJ's investigation of the ex-president for the coup attempt. This is also can be karmic justice as well. So let's keep going. So we've got this, Neptune in Scorpio that I brought up, this Seven of Cups, illusion, delusion, having to make a choice. So regardless, how do we heal from the truth? Those that weren't facing the truth will see it blatantly, whether that's climate change, prosecution, indictment of those involved in a coup attempt, whether that is Russia invading a sovereign country in an imperialistic march. The truth can no longer be withheld, and people are having to make a choice. So we have celebrations, circles of support, unity. These are good cards. Who's winning the battle? Okay, so it looks like the illusion, and just excuse me while I get a power source for my laptop. I don't want to be cut off. Okay, I don't want it to just stop. So if we go back 2 years ago even, you can see that there is more unity now than what there was 2 years ago. There's more truth emerging than what there was 2 or even 3 or 4 years ago or 5 years ago. The world in the hopes and fears, endings and beginnings, and all my readings, my huge deep dives, astro and tarot, indicate this journey that we're on. And we've got the world card, huge, major, 2 karmic cards, justice and the world. And we have here the abuse of power. So we're going to see a truth coming out about an abuse of power. I know we think we've seen it all. We haven't quite yet. And we've got the Queen of Wands here. The Queen of Wands. Clarified by the Queen of Wands. Something else, something else could be emerging here. This could be something around the Supreme Court. I'm just going to go out there. Like there's multiple things that could be emerging. Something around the Supreme Court Roe v. Wade decision. Something around an abuse of power. Now I go back to my reading, Will Roe Be Overturned? And I said Roberts was working hard to try and stop this. And I felt that he was talking to Kavanaugh. Out of all the justices that he could change their view or the decision, it was Brett Kavanaugh. I got pilloried for that. A, because people don't like either of the two. But that's what I saw in the cards. It has since emerged that Roberts was indeed doing that, trying to stop the court from overruling Roe, and he was talking with Kavanaugh as the one that may walk back his earlier opinion. So there's something here around a truth emerging around an abuse of power. The 9 of Pentacles, it will involve money. So this is either coming, it could also, gosh, how many situations. I said in my previous reading, why do some Republicans look like, some Republican politicians look like they're going to commit a crime? I'm talking about the, the usual suspects. We do have something major emerging here. It will have something to do with a woman as well, and money. And so I go to Ron DeSantis, who had terrible cards when the governor of Florida, terrible cards when I read on him in the past. It's now since being emerged. I'm trying to confirm it, so take it with a grain of salt. But the DOJ may be looking into something that he's done. My viewers have said this has to do with Matt Gaetz, the Greenborough case, the trafficking. I guess. The charges levied against Matt Gaetz. This could have something to do with DeSantis intervening in that. But we've got the Ten of Swords, something coming to a brutal end. Somebody's going to have a downfall here because they've abused the power. Is it, you take your pick, Trump, DeSantis. This could also have to do, because the Justice card came up there, we could get information that the wife of the Supreme Court Justice, Ginny Thomas, could be subpoenaed. We're at a crossroads. Whatever's going to happen will reveal something huge to us, and we will be able to move forward, and there's victory here. So again, whatever these events are, and they could be multiple events, one thing's for sure, we get to see the truth. We get to see the truth. So I'll just do some messages from Spirit at the individual level. That was the Golden Tarot. I'm now going to pull from my Good Tarot. So anyone that's following the decks, the Queen of the Moon Oracle, the Golden Tarot, and the Good Tarot. Don't ask me to type them. I'm not going to do them. Just listen to the video if you want the deck names. Normally I do this at the beginning of the video. So, okay. All right, Good Tarot. So, for those that are worried about the events of Uranus being, chaotic, financial institutions, what's going to occur? Are we going to announce? Is the US going to announce they're in recession? It's like they're in an unofficial recession. Most other countries are as well. Our treasurer in Australia is just predicting so much doom and gloom. All right, real work needs to be done. And this is, in a way, the justice that is upon us all. Have we been vigilant enough? Have we done enough in the past? Have we stopped enough in the past? Have we found enough solutions in the past? Have we been living in a way that would safeguard us against these? No. The answer to that is no. Okay. We still haven't taking regulations off our financial institutions, you know it. All right. Underlying, not underlying. What are the last messages for Spirit around this conjunction? All right, so we have here 5 of Wands, obstacles, challenges, disunity. 5 of Wands talks about, can be competitive, can be ego-driven. It's a very difficult energy which involves, I think disunity. It's insecurity, then it's disunity. So the 5 of Wands and the Tower, okay. So we do have to transform this with this Tower card. These are the 2 signifier cards. We have to transform this. We have to come together. And we have the 9 of Air. This is fear. This is anxiety. That's at the foundation of the reading. I want to say I watched a reader the other day, actually an astrologist, and I can't remember her name, but she talked about we're traumatized. We've just had one hit after the next, after the next. You know what the real challenge here is to rise above it, to drop into that heart chakra of yours, to see that higher perspective instead of seeing the silos of what makes us fearful. Drop into the heart chakra, look at the higher perspective and understand that what is occurring here is actually beneficial. The 6 of Water, we are having to fix our past, deal with the past situations we've been putting off. In the sky, we have the moon, that moon in Virgo. The moon in Virgo, having to see the details of what needs to be fixed. And we've got the 7 of Earth, reviewing everything. Everything is up for review. How we live, how we treat our environment, our local environments. And there's so much good work being done by so many. The 7 of Earth. If plan A doesn't work, you need to come up with a new plan. And that's what we're doing. The Ace of Cups in the here and now, the pearl. The pearl. So if this is a climate change event that we're witnessing playing out over the next little while, go back and have a look at my climate change reading. This is about loving ourselves, loving the earth. We are not separate. What we do to the earth, we do to ourselves. And we're starting to realize that. But the earth is resilient, and so are we. Justice is here in the environment around here. And the fact that it's number 11 is no surprise really to me in the tarot, because number 11 is the gateway to the spiritual world. It is the angelic protection as well. It is the beginning, the master number to begin. Justice and the Ace of Cups, new beginnings. Through what? Through justice. And we have here the messenger of water in the hopes and fears, nurturing, caring, loving one another, loving oneself, caring for oneself. Abuse of any sort we can miss. We can forget that we need to nurture ourselves. When we nurture ourselves, we nurture everybody else. And the outcome is the Six of Fire, victorious. Victory in facing the truth. The Page of Air, the truth. The Page of Air brings forward insights. Victory through these insights. And we've got the Ten of Fire, the Ten of Wands, really the ending of a cycle, but also what is oppressing us, because those people who are into conspiracy theories, who don't face the truth, they are oppressing themselves. And there's choices to be made now. You want freedom, you want liberty, then face the truth. Page of Earth, underlying energy, steps forward, starting something, the High Priestess in the subconscious, the guardrails needing to act, and we've got Jupiter in Aries, we're going to act. So major events that are going to occur will bring us to this new start. Here's our Queen of Fire again, stepping forward with courage and bravery. Okay, so truth will emerge. I do feel that it's going to be major coming out of the DOJ. In the US, those cards were pretty clear. All right, I will stop that now and have a great weekend, everybody. I'll be back again with another reading soon. Again, around the conjunction time, 1st of August, 31st of July, 1st of August. Just be mindful, that Uranus is a disruptive energy. I'll probably just stay at home, go for a nice walk in nature, whatever I can do. Just make sure that you really drop into that heart chakra and have a look at that higher perspective. All right, thanks for tuning in, and bye for now.